I was reading about this gun buyback program that has been implemented in Houston, of all places, in the great state of Texas, which is supposed to be a bastion of freedom. They literally have open carry in Texas, and yet the city of Houston implemented a buyback program, which is just another word for government confiscation. I understand that in this case, in the city of Houston, Houston was offering to pay citizens to surrender their firearms, which is why they call it a buyback. But you can't buy back something that you never owned. You might offer to purchase these firearms from citizens, but you're not buying it back because this was never a privilege that was on loan to citizens from the government. So I hate that term. I hate that term. Generally, it is used as a euphemism for a mandatory government confiscation program where the government tries to give you a condescending pat on the head to calm you down by offering you a little money in exchange for taking your firearm away from you. In the case of Houston, it was a buyback program that was not mandatory. It was voluntary. In fact, the firearms were collected at a church, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas. And this is what Rodney Ellis, who was in charge of this, he's the commissioner of the city of Houston. This is what he tweeted at the close of this buyback. He said, "Today was a huge success that took 700 plus guns off the street. Thanks to everyone who came out. We plan to take this on tour. Look out for another buyback in a neighborhood near you." So 700 plus guns. Now, I have no idea if these people were law-abiding citizens who were willingly surrendering their right to keep and bear arms. I have no idea if these were criminals who were trying to hide incriminating evidence, because that is a thing that can happen in these programs if they're done the way Houston did it. We'll get to that in just a second. The funny part, the part that made me laugh, I'm reading this thinking how asinine it is and how sad that it's happening in Texas. And then I see this. You can see this on your screen right now. It is a box of firearms that have been 3D printed. It's a box of this is what the Democrats call ghost guns, but really it's just guns that someone has created at home. There's a long history in our country of gunsmithing. That's essentially what this is, just with modern technology, a 3D printer. And apparently, not just one person, apparently several people bought or brought boxes of guns that they had 3D printed at their own home and then sold them to the government for $150 a pop. So I would love to know exactly how much it cost them to print these guns, what kind of investment it took to create these, and then get the government to pay them for it. I thought this was the most hilarious thing. The most hilarious thing, because think about what this commissioner said, 700 plus guns. And now look at that box that you're looking at and the previous box. How many guns do you think were in those boxes together? I would guess that there's somewhere between 50 and 100 of those 3D printed guns in these boxes. So maybe close to 15% of the firearms that were relinquished in this buyback were some legend, let's just say it how it is, some legend who is taking advantage of a stupid government program. If that doesn't make your day, then I don't know what will. The bad part of this program, aside from it showing us that these people administering the government in Houston are idiots, the dangerous part of this is when you can sell your firearm to the government in a program like this and do it anonymously, then this is also a great way for criminals to launder firearms. It's a great way for criminals who have used a gun in commission of a crime and don't want to be tied to that gun. Maybe it's a stolen gun. Maybe it has their fingerprints on it. Maybe the ballistics match the ballistics that were found at the scene of the crime. It allows them to hide that firearm. And Houston claimed that this was going to be anonymous. I don't know whether they'll end up trying to match these guns to crimes or whether they'll trace back the ones that do match crimes to the individual who relinquished it. I doubt it, because people that are as stupid as this, politicians that are as stupid as trying to implement this kind of program don't seem like they're smart enough to figure that out. But it is both hilarious and dangerous program. Kudos. I would love to know who did this, by the way, too. If anyone has any idea whose idea it was to print 3D guns and sell them for $150 a pop in a gun buyback program, please send them my way, because I would like to talk to the man or woman who came up with this idea, because it absolutely cracked me up.